As you know, we are here to talk about the Arctic air mass that is affecting not only the city of New Orleans, state of Louisiana, but the entire country. Starting tomorrow evening, like the rest of the country, we are expected to endure extreme winter conditions through Monday. My public safety team is in constant communication with the National Weather Service. Just finished the mayoral briefing moments ago. We are expecting unprecedented temper drops, as much as 30 degrees in a matter of hours overnight Thursday. Now, we're being told that the temperatures will feel like into the mid 20s. In some areas, could experience temperatures in single digits. Most like the last time we've been faced with this type of temperature, a drop or even freeze, hard freeze, was in 2017. We're expected to sustain winds up to 30 miles per hour, but that could go to 50 miles per hour. Winds are expected, though, to die down Saturday evening. Monday, I know we made you aware that I did sign a state of emergency, or an emergency declaration that was submitted on Monday afternoon. So we have been very much focused on the weather conditions and preparing for this to come our way. The city has prepared to transition 3 NORD centers, 1 on the West Bank and 2 on the East Bank, into overnight warming centers. That will be the terminology that we use. Overnight warming centers. We do not want to get confused with shelters. Overnight warming centers. We will have at Joe Brown, as well as Rosenwald, and in the cutoff on the West Bank. Warming centers will open, this is very important, tomorrow evening, Thursday evening at 6 p.m. We do not want any of our people showing up prior to. We will be prepared to welcome anyone who shows up again, 6 p.m. Thursday evening. I'll say it again, Cutoff Rec Center, 6600 Belgrade Street, Joe Brown Recreation Center, 5601 Reed Boulevard. Now, the Joe Brown site will be the one activated that will be welcoming pets. Okay, Joe Brown will be the center for pets, so pet friendly. Rosenwald Recreation Center, 1120 South Broad Avenue. OCD, now that is the Orleans Parish Communications District, will communicate nightly. Now, OCD, let me correct myself, because I did say OPCD for you, Tyrell, but this is because now I am incorporating Tyra Brown into our press conferences because we're talking about a freeze plan. Tyra, as you know, she leads the Office of Community Development, and all of our assets in terms of helping our most vulnerable are under her umbrella, and of course working in consultation with our health department. But the Office of Community Development will communicate nightly with our staff at NORD and other facilities because we want to track our shelters and warming centers' capacities in real time so that we know exactly who's showing up, where there's space, where we can put people, because again, we want to be prepared. If we get a word from a resident in real time, we have to be prepared to respond in real time and send them to a site that is prepared to welcome them on the spot. NOPD will monitor exit ramps and underpasses for ice accumulation, and the department will remain in constant contact with DOTD as well as DPW regarding interstate conditions. NOPD will also have units present at all of our warming centers. So don't worry about that. Keeping law and order and safety top priority. OPCD, Orleans Parish Communications District, is now operating in standby and will increase its staffing levels again as necessary. EMS will monitor road conditions for emergency responses and transports as needed. EMS will also aid in our warming centers. Now, the Sewage and Water Board is well prepared to handle these types of incidents and emergencies, but everyone needs to do their part. And this is in regards to avoiding pressure drops in terms of our water and precautionary boil water advisories. So we want to make sure that we're covering our outdoor pipes, lessons learned from 2017, and running faucets to keep the water flowing. Now, you're going to hear more from Sewage and Water Board on this, but this doesn't mean activate or run every faucet in your home. Run the faucet that is the furthest from the meter. That's what we want to see. But again, not every faucet. We do not want to overwhelm our systems because that will cause damage to properties, both private as well as public. But we'll manage the public ones. But as it relates to our residents in private living spaces, please do your part. Entergy, you'll hear from Entergy, but they've announced also that disconnections will be suspended through January 2nd, 2023. And will also monitor critical equipment that can be impacted. You're going to hear from LASPCA, as they will be helping us as it relates to Joe Brown being the only pet-friendly warming center that the City of New Orleans will activate. The New Orleans Health Department, of course, will keep a close eye on healthcare providers and supporting outreach efforts for all of our unhoused individuals. You should also know that contact with our nursing homes, our living facilities have also there's been outreach conducted there as well. Just wanting to make sure that constant level of communication it's in play. Again, it is very imperative to take this severe winter weather event seriously. Much like you responded to our calls for action relative to the tornado watches that came our way, which also resulted in a tornado in our community. You demonstrated civic trust, and we're asking you to do it once again. But check on your neighbors as you do that, especially when we're talking about keeping warm. You're going to hear from Chief Nelson, the fire department, more on that as well. You must take action to protect. Now they're saying the 4 Ps: people, plants, pets, and pipes. Don't forget to check on your elderly and disabled neighbors. It's worth repeating. We had a fire earlier in the week where one of our elderly was living in a home without electricity, burning candles, and she lost her life. But if we're a community that cares, we're a community that demonstrates that care by looking after our neighbors because they live adjacent to where we live. So clearly, we should know the existing conditions around us. All weather precautions should be completed before sundown on Thursday. Again, Thursday evening, 6 p.m. is when we have been told by the National Weather Service that the temperatures will change. And again, it will only take hours for us to reach freezing conditions. We know that this is holiday. We know Christmas. We do know that. But this is a perfect opportunity to ensure that we keep Christ in Christmas by looking after our people. And I know with Christmas being about, you're still going to try to go about and do your shopping and all. Please take precautions. Now, I'm going to encourage you to stay home, but not at all trying to encourage you not to do business in our city. It's with balance. Layer up to protect yourself. It's going to be cold. And again, be alert on the road as it relates to driving conditions in our city, throughout the city. If you see something, please say something. 311 will be fully activated as well. Public safety, as always, is our top priority in the city of New Orleans. And so again, we know that our neighbors, and really, we're first responders where you live. So again, check on one another. and be ready to respond in real time. If you haven't already done so, now we know that we have over 280,000 of our residents already signed up for NOLA Ready. It's been tested. We know that the public has told us this is the best way, one, to communicate in real time with the city in terms of getting true information. But also, we want to encourage people more and more to sign up, our visitors as well. So, text NOLA Ready to 77295. NOLA Ready to 77295. And you can also visit ready.nola.gov for other information. But we will be fully activated. But at this time, I'm going to turn it over to my Director of Homeland Security, Mr. Colin Arnold. Colin?
Thank you, Mayor. Afternoon, everybody. Weather Service is out actually working on the tornadoes from last week and also addressing a lot of the forecasting regarding this cold weather event, this Arctic air mass that will be extending south into our area throughout the state of Louisiana and throughout the Gulf South. It's going to be extremely cold. Feels like temperatures in the teens here on the South Shore and single digits on the North Shore. We're going to have extended time period, probably 24 to 36 hours, where we may not go above 32 degrees, which is freezing, which is why I'm asking every resident to really pay attention, both to their travel, of course, as the mayor said, and their pipes. I think that, if any of us remember a few years ago, we had some pretty significant issues with pipes freezing and water pressure, and we want to really try and drill down on that and get the public involved in making sure they're doing the right things for their homes. I mean, our area is not really designed for this type of temperature. We have a lot of raised homes and a lot of exposed pipes, and those are the things that you really need to watch out for. When you're traveling, look at our WeatherStem website, weatherwise.nola.gov. Look at the current temperatures. Look at those weather conditions that are out there. This is going to be a holiday weekend that you can take time to be with family and friends, and this is going to give everybody the opportunity to do that. I think people just really need to be careful traveling on the roadways. The one, I guess, positive is that some of these strong winds that are going to be Thursday through Friday during the day into Friday evening are going to blow out a lot of any moisture that is residual around the area. However, we all live here and we all know that we have a lot of bridges and a lot of elevated roadways, and those things freeze relatively quickly, and that people need to be very conscious of that regardless of what the precipitation forecast is. Again, the winds, you were talking particularly along Lake Pontchartrain, 20 to 30 mile an hour sustained winds Thursday into Friday afternoon with 40 mile an hour gusts. So it's going to be incredibly windy, and what that wind does is drive the wind chill to an already cold actual temperature. So as we talked about, Thursday night, starting around, in the evening, we're going to go from 59, 60 degrees down to 29 degrees within about 6 hours, and that's actual temperature. So, that's an incredible temperature shift. That will be a lot of that driven in with the wind. Thursday and Friday are going to be pretty miserable. Saturday, we're going to be coming out of it. Sunday, coming out of it, and then, we'll make it through this holiday weekend. We currently have a hard freeze watch until Sunday. We have a wind advisory until the afternoon on Friday, and we have a wind chill advisory until Friday as well, although I will say that will probably be extended. I think the wind chills are going to be sufficient to carry through the weekend. We're going to have very cold temperatures. The mayor mentioned the 3 warming centers. We're excited about that as far as this is part of our emergency resource center planning that we've been doing since Ida. We can operate them for cooling off during the summer, and we're going to demonstrate that we can operate them during the winter to warm people up. This is what I'm asking about. We're opening 3 centers, 2 on the East Bank, 1 on the West Bank. Joe Brown and Rosenwald on the East Bank, Cutoff on the West Bank. Use these centers, during the day if you need to stop in and warm up. We are keeping them open overnight for the same purpose. And also, if you have absolutely no place else to go, please utilize these centers. What I would ask is if you have a place to go and you're with family, be thankful, but please allow these, there's limitations with everything we can do. Please allow these rec centers to be used by those that are unfortunate enough to really need them this weekend. And then that would be my request of our public. And typically, the public is really good about being together and doing what we need to do because we're resilient. The mayor mentioned texting NOLA Ready to 77295. We're going to be able to update you on the weather conditions. We'll be able to update you on the status of some of these resources that we've put together. And we're happy to do that and value that. So please, NOLA Ready to 77295. We're on social media at NOLA Ready, ready.nola.gov. And again, I really want to promote the weatherwise.nola.gov. 20 weather stations around the city with cameras. It's going to show you everything that's going on, temperatures, wind chill, all of those things, and make your plans that way. And I wish everyone happy holidays, and let's hang with friends and family over the weekend and get through this into Monday.
Colin?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you please share what will be available at the shelters? And we have food and snacks.
Yes, ma'am. So at the shelters, I've already gone back on what I said. The warming centers,
Yes. I may have done that.
that's all right. What we'll have there is, of course, consumables, water, food, snacks. There will be cots as well in an area for people that may need to stay the night. Again, charging stations and some of those other things, although power is hopefully not going to be an issue. I will say that we have put generators on all these facilities as well. So the 3 facilities, should power go out, and I would be concerned mostly about that Friday and Saturday with, wind-driven potential power outages, we'll have backup power. We're going to try and we're working out some community involvement as far as some of our culture bearers coming in and maybe doing some light programming there to kind of reduce the trauma, reduce the anxiety, and just kind of offer it's the holidays. I mean, we're going to try and make people as comfortable as possible during kind of a trying time, both for cities and probably for the residents that need to use these services too. So, and then of course pets. Joe Brown is our lead spot for pet-friendly shelter capabilities. I'm just saying, just get where you get to the center you need to, and we can adapt. But Joe Brown would be the best place to go, particularly if you have a pet that needs some attention too. With that, I will turn it over to Captain Michelle Woodfork, soon to be interim chief of New Orleans Police Department.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good afternoon. The NOPD will be adequately staffed with personnel working their regular shifts during this time. We have 4 high water vehicles ready for service if needed. All district generators have been tested and remain ready for service. Barricades are staged and ready for deployment. We're asking everyone to stay off the elevated portions of I-10 in the event that it becomes critical, as well as the exit ramps and underpasses will continuously be monitored for ice and accumulation. Please take extra precaution on elevated roads and interstate and bridges. They'll freeze before the surface streets do. Streets will be monitored for ice accumulation, and motorists will be redirected accordingly if there are streets that have black ice or ice on them, or we think that is a danger. Neighborhood business patrol plan remains in effect. NOPD will remain in contact with DOTD and DPW regarding the interstate system and street conditions. NOPD will remain in contact with NOLA Ready regarding messaging. Anti-looting patrols will be implemented in the event of power outages, and portable light towers are available just in case we go out of power in certain areas. NOPD will also provide daily checks and nighttime static positions at the 3 warming stations. Also, each district that has some type of independent living facility where the elderly reside, we're going to have officers check those facilities too, just in case we lose power and they're on generated power and those generators go out. We don't want to have any of our elderly in those facilities with no power or no generated power for a long period of time. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Okay. Next, we're going to hear from our director, Tyrell Morris, OPCD.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, everybody. With the Mayor's declaration of emergency, that automatically elevates OPCD's operating status to standby. What that means is it puts staff on alert, it cancels leave, and we can elevate to level 2 Of course, during the Christmas holiday, we don't want to, but we will should the public safety need arise. Below freezing temperatures can be life-threatening. Colin and many of the public safety officials have mentioned where you can go. Of course, 311 will be available if you need the addresses, the hours of these warming centers. 911 should be reserved for life-threatening emergencies only. As a reminder, you can text 911 as well if a phone call is not necessary. But 911 is available for life-threatening emergencies only. If you do find someone that is unsheltered, or you come across a resident that has made the choice to be outside and they need emergency shelter, that is a 911 call. We ask that you have some patience because the call taker is going to triage that individual to ensure that they themselves are not experiencing a life-threatening emergency so we can shape the most appropriate response. There are a lot of city resources being applied to respond to this emergency, and we have the task of defining what type of resource to send you so we don't overwhelm our systems. In the event that winds get incredibly high and we have to pull public safety units off of the street, the agency may go to emergency rule. We will alter how we answer 911 calls, the instructions that we give. So we ask to exercise some patience, answer the call taker's questions. It does not slow down the response. And again, happy holidays, and we'll see you all on the other side of this.
All right, thank you, Tyrell. We're going to hear from Chief Samaran, EMS. Chief?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good afternoon, everyone. New Orleans EMS will be at elevated operations level starting Thursday through the weekend. It is forecasted to be bitterly cold for an extended period of time, and we ask that those that are unhoused or have inadequate heat in their homes to seek shelter during this time, especially at night. Hypothermia is a real concern, and so it could also be it could be fatal, especially if you're exposed to the extreme cold for a long period of time. So make sure that if you need a place to stay, that you seek shelter somewhere. I'm saying shelter as seek shelter, not a facility. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. I do ask that you call 311 if you need non-emergency assistance or information, including locations or even transportation to the warming centers. There will be multiple agencies out throughout the duration of this that is offering transportation assistance to those that do not have transportation to the facilities. So definitely call 311 if you need that. Just as Director Morris said, please reserve 911 for emergencies only. And remember that public safety agencies may be impacted by road conditions. And so if the roads do ice, and is not safe to drive, it affects public safety and how long it may take to get to you. And then we'll also have to alter how we respond to priorities of calls. Use caution when walking on potentially icy or frozen surfaces. We do see a lot of falls during freezes, so certainly be careful with that. Use caution when heating your home, especially with a gas-burning appliance, and make sure you have a working smoke and carbon monoxide detector. And I'm sure Chief Nelson will talk about this with the fire department, but we've had numerous carbon monoxide calls already this year, and so we certainly won't want to see any more. Carbon monoxide is colorless, odorless, and is a silent killer. So definitely, you don't know it until you're overcome by it. So certainly have a detector. Just as the mayor said, know your neighbor. Just like a hurricane or other emergency, know who your neighbor is, know who's in your neighborhood. Check on the elderly, ill, or other homebound people that live alone, as well as those dependent on medical devices such as oxygen. Make sure they have safe, reliable heating sources and enough supplies to last them a few days. If you need help or have any concerns about them, you can call 311 and we can get those resources for you. Like always, stay informed by watching your favorite local news station or go online to ready.nola.gov. Also, to be sure to sign up for the emergency alerts by texting NOLA READY to 77295. And lastly, on behalf of the entire New Orleans EMS team, we wish you a safe and happy holiday season. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chief. We're going to hear from Chief Nelson, New Orleans Fire Department. Chief.
Thank you, Mayor, and good afternoon, everyone. So there's a lot of safety tips I want to share with you going into this cold weather, but it's all out there. The media has it. It's available online. So I really want to focus on some important safety points going into this cold weather that focus on lives, about saving lives and making sure that no one dies this holiday season from a fire, right? There's a commercial that says we know a few things because we've seen a few things. Well, on the fire department, we've seen a lot of things, and we know what's going to happen during this cold weather. People are going to make bad decisions on heating their homes, so we're asking them, don't do it, right? Don't use barbecue pits to heat your home. Don't use outside heating equipment, camping stoves, patio heaters, things like that inside of the home. They are not designed for that. They will cause issues and could possibly cause death, right? So what we want you to focus on is being safe and focusing on making sure that everyone in the house has what they need to be safe. That starts off, if you heard me say over and over again, a smoke alarm. Make sure your smoke alarm is working. Test it right now, test it today. If it's not working, you have time while you're out getting pipe insulation. You can get a new smoke alarm. You can get batteries if your smoke alarm needs it, right? There's still time to do that. Test your carbon monoxide detector. Make sure it's working, right? If it's not, again, there's time to get a new one or to replace batteries or to do whatever you need to do to make sure that you're safe. During these kinds of events, you know, keeping warm becomes critical, and people use all kind of alternative heating devices, right? So as I mentioned, only use heating devices that are rated, that are UL listed, that are designed to be used indoors, right? With space heaters, as we always talk about, make sure that they're 3 feet away from any flammables or combustibles so that they don't catch anything on fire. It sounds simple, but when this cold really sets in, cold like we don't experience on a normal basis, people take unusual steps to keep warm, and that's where the problems come in. So we just want to keep it on your mind to be safe. Don't use those extraordinary measures, right? If you need extra blankets, use extra blankets, but remember, you have to be careful with that blanket too close to the space heater, right? So just be careful heating your home this holiday season and during this cold front, and make sure you have that working smoke alarm and that working carbon monoxide detector in your home to make sure that you're safe. Again, all of our safety tips on carbon monoxide, on generator safety, on candles, and other things in the home are available online, NOLA.ready.gov, or you can go to our fire department website, NOLA.gov/NOFD, and all of the safety information is on there, you know. And I really just want to touch on it again, you know, as the mayor mentioned, we lost a resident over the weekend without power in the home, using alternative cooking sources and heating sources and candles. We also had another resident lose a home Monday, a longtime family home, using candles during the power outage. So we know it's going to happen, right? So we're asking you, don't do it, right? But also make sure you have those devices that are going to make sure you get notification if something does happen so you can be outside, right? Your pipes bursting is terrible, but they can be fixed. Your home burning down is horrible, but it can be replaced. You can't be replaced. Your life can't be replaced. So make sure you have those working safety devices in your home to be safe, to get that notification so you can get out and get to safety. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Chief. We're going to hear from Ms. Tyra Johnson Brown, Director of OCD, Office of Community Development.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Good evening, everyone. The Office of Community Development has been in constant communication with all of our emergency shelters and service providers. Outreach teams began messaging on yesterday, notifying the homeless that the forecast will be real bad. Beginning at 6 p.m. on Thursday, Unity of Greater New Orleans, NOPD Homeless Unit, Travelers Aid, and New Orleans Mission outreach teams will be out nightly until Monday, encouraging the homeless to utilize the shelters and to provide transportation to the shelters. The following shelters will be available: Ozanam Inn, located at 2239 Partridge Street. They will be accepting men and women. The New Orleans Mission, located at 1130 Aretha Castle Haley Boulevard, accepting men and women. Salvation Army, 4526 South Claiborne Avenue, accepting men and women, and they are waiving their entry fee. New Orleans Women and Children's Shelter, is available for families. Outreach teams encounter any family, they will get in contact with New Orleans Women and Children's Shelter and make sure that that family gets there. Concerned Citizens for a Better Algiers, 1409 Nunez Street is in Algiers on the West Bank. So we do have someone that is going to be accepting unsheltered people there. And Covenant House, located at 611 North Rampart Street, accepting youth 16 years of age to 22 years of age. If a single parent with kids show up, they will assist them also. OCD will continue to monitor and track all of the shelter beds. That information will be distributed not only to the outreach team, but also to all of our 311 and our and the service providers, making sure that everyone will be able to have shelter. As everyone has said, this is Christmas time, and we know that we sometimes do humanitarian acts. We're asking the community, please, do not just start going out because of the homeless being on the street and just giving them blankets. This is not blanket weather. We need them to get off the street. So the best thing that you can do and assist us is please encourage them to utilize the services that we have, the shelters. If they're not able to call 311, we're asking that you call for them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're going to hear now from Ghassan Corbin, the Executive Director of the Sewerage and Water Board.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for being here, and happy holidays. I will be repeating some of the things, instructions that the mayor shared with you because they will be very, very worth repeating. This is an event, unlike rain events, where the burden falls squarely on us to manage the weather. This is an event where what the public and what the customers do or don't do will significantly minimize the impact of this severe weather that we are facing. So from our perspective, we are fully prepared, we're fully staffed. We had a very good meeting yesterday preparing for the event. We have adequate power, we have adequate pumping capacity of potable and drinking water into the distribution system. We are producing about 150 million gallons a day at the East treatment plant and about 10 million gallons at the West Bank. The capacity is not limitless, okay? So we have about 20 million gallons of a cushion at the East and about 5 million gallons a day cushion at the West Bank. The reason I'm sharing that with you, at one point, if overconsumption happens, our system is going to be overwhelmed and we're not going to be able to keep up with the overconsumption, and the pressure in the system will drop, and that will result in a need for calling for a boil water advisory and many other things. So we're trying to avoid that, and I believe if people heed our instructions, we can again minimize and avoid that situation from happening. So to repeat what the mayor said relative to what we would ask customers to do, and there is time to do it. You know, look for any exposed pipes under your homes, around your homes, anything that you see, wrap with, any material that you can find. Make sure if it's clothes or newspapers or whatever, wrap them with either plastic or aluminum foil to keep them dry. This is very, very key. Find your shut-off valve, and that's typically facing the street most often, and it's facing the street and it's lining up with where the service is coming from the meter. So find that valve because it's going to become very crucial should you have a burst pipe during this week, and the first thing you would want to do is go find that valve and shut it off, and then drain your plumbing system to minimize damage to your home. The next thing you need to do is call a plumber. If something happens within your premises on your property, please do not call us because we cannot help you, but call a plumber to manage that situation. This is very important, and the mayor emphasized it. When you are asked to run water and to keep that water flowing in the system so it does not freeze, we ask you to limit that running to one faucet, and preferably the farthest faucet from the meter, okay, from the street. That is very important. What's also important is that we don't want you to open it full blast. There's no need for that. If we were having much more severe weather than this, a week worth of below freezing, maybe. But for now, all you need is to run a thin, we're gonna call it spaghetti thin trickle, and that would be more than sufficient to do that. And sounds based on the temperatures that we're anticipating, Thursday night would be the time to start doing that. So do not run more than one, and do not gush that water out, because that will overwhelm the system, and that's not good for anybody in the city. If you're traveling, make sure to leave at least one, like I said, one faucet trickling. Ask your neighbors to keep an eye out for what might happen, because things may happen and you may have a burst pipe, and then you'd ask them to do something on your behalf. Otherwise, again, you're going to have more damage than needed. If you see a water main break in the right-of-way, please call 52 Water, and we will respond. We will have multiple crews throughout the weekend for prompt response to that. Likely, you're going to see more of those after the water it starts warming up, because if there's any, the variation in the temperature and the fluctuation in the pressure typically have a lot of impact on water systems, especially ours, because it's very fragile and old, as you all know. So anything that you see in the public right-of-way, please call 52 Water, and we will respond as fast as we can. We're currently suspending all our work that involves any shutoffs, any shutting of any closures of water mains, so you do not have to worry about uninterrupted service. Again, a thin trickle. I can't emphasize that enough. And obviously, we're counting on you, and we collectively can really fare this storm fairly well. And again, happy holidays to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ghassan. Now we're going to hear from Larry Barabino Jr., who runs our NORD centers. Larry.
Good evening, everyone. As NORD continue to step up during emergencies like this, my staff is here and ready. As the mayor and as Colin mentioned, we're opening 3 warming centers, one on the West Bank and 2 on the East Bank. One thing that I want to definitely acknowledge in the process of this is my staff. As everyone look forward to spending the holidays with their family members, the NORD staff members are stepping up to make sure that these shelters are open. Warming centers are open. So with saying that, be mindful that the center opens at 6 p.m. starting Thursday. We will not take people in before 6 p.m. on Thursday, and these centers will remain open until 6 p.m. Monday evening. So again, we're open as warming centers for residents that need to be out there. Again, we encourage everyone to stay home if they can, stay with family members, stay off the roads. But if you're forced to be out there and you need somewhere to warm up, you can go to either Joe Brown Rec Center, New Orleans East, you can go to Rosenwald Rec Center off of Earhart, or you can go to Cutoff Rec Center in Algiers. So with saying that, I want to wish everyone a happy holidays, and if you happen to stop at any of those warming centers, please tell the staff thank you for being there, because they could be home with their family, but they chose to be real civil servants and to be there to make sure that those facilities were open. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Larry. Now we're going to hear from the president and CEO of Entergy, Ms. Deanna Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, everyone. I'm pleased to report that we have taken all the necessary storm preparations. We take the storm very seriously, and even though it's cold weather, and it's a rarity in New Orleans, our commitment is to the safety of our customers, and our crews is no different. Our crews are wrapping up some final inspection of substations and transmission lines. We've already tested critical equipment where we need to ensure that pipes are also insulated to avoid freezing. We're also taking measures to make sure that everyone stays safe, warm in these extreme temperatures. In addition to the safety measures that we've taken already, we've announced yesterday, and the mayor told everyone here again today, that Entergy New Orleans will be suspending disconnects and we're suspending all planned outages now through Monday, January 2nd. So customers who have any questions about their bills, just call us, but not to worry, because we will be suspending all disconnects until January 2nd. Not only are we monitoring the weather locally, but we're also keeping an eye on national impacts. And one part of our severe weather process is working closely with our System Reliability Coordinator, MISO, the city, everyone here in this room, the New Orleans City Council, and we are communicating constantly with and messaging with customers on any grid impacts if necessary. While we do not anticipate any impacts to our system, our partnerships are very important, and should we find ourselves faced with system constraints, that will require us to balance supply and demand, customers will be immediately informed. So that's something that we've already worked on in advance. We feel confident that we have a plan to do so. The bottom line is that Entergy New Orleans is prepared for the cold weather, just like we are for every storm that comes our way. And if you need resources to help prepare, please visit the Entergy Storm Center and follow us on social media. Happy holidays to everyone, and thank you.
Deanna, would you like to just remind the public in regards to those, the miles per hour, the winds? I'm worried about that.
That's right.
30.
Okay. So one of the concerns that we have is not just the cold weather, but the winds. And so everybody is predicting the wind chill. When you're talking about wind chill, the reason it's chillier is because the winds will be fairly severe. So if there are outages, or if there are some lines that go out, we will not be able to send our crews out safely to repair any of those lines until the wind subsides and it's safe for us to send folks out there. So it'd have to be between 25 and 30 miles below 25 and 30 miles per hour to be able to send crews out in bucket trucks. We will get there as quickly as we can and as soon as it is safe to do so. Another thing I should mention too, if there are outages, just remember that it might take us a little bit longer to get your neighborhood back up, only because you have to do it very carefully so that we can do it very deliberately and in sequential order. So be patient with us, be patient with your neighbors, check on your neighbors, and let us know if you do have an outage. We'll get there as soon as we can. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we're going to move on. I know we had LASPCA. Come on forth and give them some news.
Thank you, Mayor, and good afternoon, everyone. As you make your preparations for any of your 4 Ps, so your pipes, plants, pets, and people, make sure to keep your pets in all those plans. All pets must be brought inside for the duration of this incident. If you do see a pet that is left outside without adequate shelter being 4 walls to protect from any kind of wind or, on the off chance of precipitation, go ahead and report that. You can report it via 311 and 911. 911 being if that freeze plant is activated, that is considered an animal in immediate distress and in need of an officer's help. In addition to that, New Orleans Humane Law and Rescue officers will be responding to all of those 911 calls as they get them by priority. Different priority calls happen, but we will respond to those as soon as we can. The Louisiana SPCA will have normal hours on Thursday and Friday. Saturday and Sunday, we will be closed to the public. For those days, if you do have animal emergencies or you see a stray or anything like that, once again, animal emergencies, an animal attack, animal hit by car, that's 911, and then those other things are 311. As mentioned before as well, Joe Brown is the only pet-friendly warming center. As such, the Louisiana SPCA is going to pre-stage supplies there. We are asking that people using this warming center, though, please come prepared with all the supplies your pet may need. The same way you're going to bring things that you might need, bring things your pets might need. Absolutely bring a leash and a collar for your pet to stay on leash. It is the law in New Orleans to have your pet on a leash at all times while outside. If you're planning on staying there and you have a crate, make sure to bring that with you. If not, we will do our best to provide one for you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. think that I've covered, let me just make sure of this. I want to ask Councilmember Eugene Green, thank you so much for participating in my briefing and being here with us this afternoon, Councilman. Yes, sir. I'm having a hot flash.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And I am made so much more confident today by being in a group of professionals and motivated individuals as I am today, leaders in our community who have covered many angles and all angles relative to this very serious weather event that we are about to experience. I just want to emphasize to the public that this is a very serious weather event. It is just as serious as a hurricane. It is just as serious as some of the other experiences that we've had, and that we should be prepared. So it's important to have a plan to be safe. That may include something simple as I'm not going to drive on the elevated portion of the interstate after the freeze begins. It may be that I'm going to make sure that in case the pipes split, I have enough water to cover the needs. It's also going to be a plan that says I'm going to make sure that my smoke detector works and that I don't do anything that is going to put myself or my family in harm's way. So be sure to have that plan in place. I am a district council member, and I know that everyone here has seen that we do have a unhoused population. And it's been mentioned a couple of times, but I do want to mention it because I see so many members of that community, and I have an opportunity to talk to them, especially under the elevated expressways between St. Bernard and Canal Street, and I'm very concerned about them. And I want to let them know, the ones that I've talked to, that government is your friend this weekend. Government is your friend. We are very concerned about you. This is not the type of weather event where a simple blanket is going to make you safe. This is a weather event where you may have to leave that surrounding and take advantage of the resources that are made available to you by a very friendly government. We are working with you. I want to encourage those who are listening on the radio, and sometimes there are folks who are watching on television who know homeless people who are unhoused. I want to encourage them to recognize that they should take advantage of the opportunity to leave that tent, if possible, this weekend. Please do not use a candle inside of a tent to stay warm. The repercussions will be significant and severe, and it's also just dangerous from fumes that are being created. But Madam Mayor, I'm so pleased that this group has gotten together today and has expressed and made available resources to our citizens. I speak specifically to those who I know who are unhoused, who I see and I talk to all the time. Please, please take advantage. We are going to make sure with our professional police department, with our health department, with our others, that your belongings are not taken from your tents, if you will, to the extent that we can. But it's important that you be concerned about your health. And I will be very disappointed if I go through the district and I see that a number of people are trying to heat their tents with heaters that they shouldn't be using, candles and the like. Please recognize that government is here to help you in this particular time. And we don't want to have any deaths or injuries within our unhoused population, but our population in general. This is an opportunity for us to all join together and to be as safe as we can. And in addition to being safe, we want to have everyone to enjoy the holidays. This holiday might be a little bit different in terms of everybody coming over, traveling and the like, but there'll be time for celebration later. Let's all just do what we can to be safe during this period. And Madam Mayor, once again, I just want to emphasize, I know I've said it, I am just so pleased that I'm surrounded by the professionals here who know what to do, and I know in their hearts they want to make sure that every one of our citizens is safe this weekend. And I'm looking forward to, after this spell has passed, for us to be able to celebrate the safety, the level of safety that existed in our city during this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you very much. I should just also add that the Department of Public Works has been in direct contact with all construction projects in terms of construction companies doing work throughout the city of New Orleans, buttoning up their sites and the like. In addition to that, I've asked both DPW as well as the Sewage and Water Board to be very proactive as it relates to streets in the city that we know that already are, where standing water is activated. So we want to get out there prior to putting down sand as well as salt to ensure that those areas are safer, I would say, than not. So just being proactive in our approach is something that we're doing. In addition to that, again, this is the time to look out for one another, know your neighbors, know the elderly, and give out a hand, you know, to touch not only a heart, but to get someone and make sure that they're in a safe and protected space. In addition to that, happy holidays. This is the perfect time during the holidays to extend some love, you know, show some spirit of peace, some joy in the hearts of one another. That is something that is free and something that, you know, doesn't cost anything to give. So with that, I'm going to turn it over. Go ahead, Andrew. We'll go through Q&A, and we'll wrap up for this afternoon.
Yes, my question is for Sewage and Water Board.
Okay.
Question in terms of basically how you mentioned, you know, basically to have a spaghetti stream of water. For those who are in apartments, what exactly do they need to do in terms of, I know you said it has to be like so far away from the meter.
Same thing.
Yeah, I would ask individual owners or renters of each apartment to do the same. Just again, a trickle would be sufficient. So I'd rather have all of them doing that trickle versus all of them relying on each other and nobody doing it. So, but again, a very thin trickle, very important.
Also for Mr. Corbron, I know years ago there was some discussion about turbine 6 not being designed to operate below 45 degrees. Is that still the case? And if for some reason something happens, does the Sewage and Water Board have enough power to operate?
I'm very glad you asked that question. We try not to boast, but T6 is fully operational and winterized. So this would be the first time where T6 will be used under cold temperatures. So.
And remember, adding that additional investment so that we're prepared for times like this. But this will be the first time that it will be tested.
And it will be on as of tomorrow in anticipation of any wind conditions. So it will be ready to be used. So thank you for the question.
Is there a specific time people have to leave the warming centers the next day? And do we know the capacities of them?
Well, the warming centers will open Thursday, 6 p.m., and they will be open throughout, and I'm told Tuesday or Monday? Monday, 6 p.m., so corrected. Thursday, 6 p.m. to Monday, 6 p.m. Okay. We will assess capacities. You know, we will not turn anyone away, but that also speaks to, you know, why we want to have real-time assessments of both the warming centers as well as the shelters. So in real time, we can send our people where they need to go to be welcomed appropriately. Yes, go ahead.
So we talked a little about warming center versus shelter. I just want to, you know, clarify that's kind of part of the reason. When you have a shelter, there's certain, in our language, shelter indicates shower service, laundry, wraparound services, checking in, checking out. This is not that. So that's why we want to make it clear. This is you know, come as you are, come in when you need to, leave, come back, and that's certainly during the day. And then once we get into the night hours, that's more of a situation where, you know, if you don't have any place else to go, that's going to be the opportunity for you to come in, and we will have space available with cots for people to lay down. But it's not the same as what we would do, you know, for a major event like a hurricane or something like that.
But they will be able to expect snacks and
Yes.
food and water and the like.
Do we know approximately how many residents are unhoused due to the tornado last week in Algiers?
Yeah,
any accommodations being made?
Thank you for thinking about our folks. We do it every day. Colin?
We had 11 families, 11 people and 8 families that were affected to a point where their residence was either damaged or destroyed and is not habitable. We have 2 of those families in hotels. The other families and folks have made alternate arrangements, I presume with family and others for the holidays. And so everyone is accounted for in that regard.
And 1 police officer.
And 1 police officer.
Just a question with the shelter. You mentioned that there's going to be free transportation. Is that for all the warming centers? Is there free transportation to all of them? And save the one that allows pets, is there a backup plan if, you know, that one gets overwhelmed with people bringing their pets in case power goes out? What are people supposed to do with their pets if that one's, say, full or at capacity?
Sure. So the Regional Transit Authority, RTA, is a partner in this. And Colin, you can give them some meat.
So for the homeless outreach, that's a different kind of operation that does have some transportation capability. We're asking people that want to utilize the warming centers, they either drive there or make their way on RTA. RTA will be operating on their normal schedule and then their weekend schedule over the weekend. There's always a plan. If we run out of pet room at Joe Brown, we've got some contingencies. We're not going to turn anybody away.
And just on the RTA front, just know that we've done, you know, extensive outreach relative to our paratransit, making sure that our folks that need to access dialysis are able to do so prior to Thursday, 6 p.m. Any other questions? Okay, hearing none, thank you all again very much. You all take care of yourselves as well, your households, your families, your neighbors, and of course, we will keep you updated every step of the way. Thank you again.